Real conversations and some hard truths. Gangs, drugs, and guns. Giving a voice to those willing to sacrifice. We have stories that need to be told. We have lessons that need to be taught. Protect and serve. Welcome to The Quiet Professional. Welcome back, everybody. Nathan Romas with you. Today, we're going to be talking about some different topics. We're going to have somebody here that's got quite a history in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So we're going to be talking about that. We'll talk about life in another country and then transitioning to policing a little bit later in their career. So we'll get into it with Rodrigo Rezende. He's here in studio. Rodrigo was born in Porto Velho in the state of Rondônia, Brazil, but he grew up in Brasilia, the capital of Brazil. Rodrigo's father owned a judo school where Rodrigo began training at 4 years old, and he began training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at 13. As his level of training progressed, Rodrigo was invited in 2007 by Judo Canada to train here. And during that time, he traveled around Canada and competed as well as taught. In 2009, he moved to Edmonton to develop a BJJ program in 3 martial arts schools, and he eventually opened his own. In 2020, during the COVID pandemic, Rodrigo's schools were shut down temporarily. It's during this time that he applied to the Edmonton Police Service. And today, Rodrigo is married with 2 children, a constable with Northwest Division Patrol, and holds graduations of 5th Dan Judo Black Belt and 5th degree BJJ Black Belt. So lots of accomplishments. Those sound pretty crazy. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate the invitation. Right. And we'll have a nice conversation here. Look forward to it.
Yeah. I'm glad we could get you in. Actually, I was looking at this today. I sent the invite back beginning of October. So it's been a while to get you in here. We're in the same city.
Yeah. Well, you guys are very busy here, and right. And but I'm glad that we can make it. We could make it work today.
Yeah, it's. I think it'll be very interesting. And we were just saying before too. You said we have 3 Brazilians in the Edmonton Police Service now.
Yes.
Who are the other 2?
We have Julian Ferrari.
Mm-hmm.
She's also in Northwest, and we have a recruit in my squad.
Oh, really?
Mateus, and he's also Brazilian. Just got into the service.
Does he have a background in jiu-jitsu as well?
No, he doesn't.
Oh, okay.
I play with the guys there. Say that the Brazilians going to take over Northwest there pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, you're the one who's going to have to teach them all. So, well, let's start at the beginning, and we'll talk about, kind of growing up and what life was like for you.
Sounds good. Yeah, I was born in Porto Velho, Rondônia. It's in the Amazon area, north part of the country. When I was 3 years old, we moved to Brasilia. My parents were actually living before in Brasilia, and my father had to move for work. So at 3 years old, I came back to Brasilia and was raised there. My father's a black belt in judo as well. And he had a school, a gym, weightlifting, and judo school there. And I was this little guy that was around, like playing around in the school there with the kids' class and just like causing trouble in the school, in the gym there while he was teaching his classes and everything. So I grew up like that, right? And I would stay in the gym until he would finish to teach his classes, and then we would go back home. And I was pretty much like that. I was raised in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally, that became my passion as well. And I started to compete. Throughout judo and jiu-jitsu, they are very close, very similar, right? With a little bit of focus difference in the ground and on stand-up. So I started to train jiu-jitsu to help my judo ground work, right? I was about 13 years old. And that became part of my routine of training as well. When I was about 15 years old, I wanted to take it a little more serious, and I moved to Sao Paulo, which was a training center for athletes. And in that center there, you just young uh, teenagers from 15 to 20 years old. We live there, I study, and train on a regular basis, very like military kind of
So it was like
regimen.
an actual school you lived at.
Yes, yeah, it's a training center for judo athletes.
Mm.
So you wake up early, you train, go to school, come back, train some more, rest, and train some more. Right, with a very strict rules of like discipline and that's how my competition career kind of became more serious, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into the competition stuff, if we go back a bit, so when you were a kid, what was growing up in Brazil like?
You know, I grew up in a family that was like mid, I would say mid class, and right, we didn't have a lot of money, but I always had the opportunity to study in good schools, right, and have access to to education, other things, right, that maybe majority of the population couldn't have. So I grew up in Brazil was pretty interesting. Like it's different, right? And I'm sure that even like in the whole world, things have changed a lot. But at the time that at my time there, we were able to be on the streets and play more, right? And be able to have a little bit more freedom in that way, right? And I would say the difference that you probably feel as well. Today is a lot of electronics, right?
Yeah.
At that time, we didn't have much of that. So the playing kite in the street or run around, or the culture is a little different, right? So it's a little like the street dynamic is a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you talking just like kind of maybe just like neighbors get together more out in the street, or are you talking like as a danger aspect, like maybe it's not as safe?
In both ways. In both ways. We have to, in Brazil, we grow up with a certain sense of awareness of your surrounding, because it is different, it's not as safe as this year. And we have to be aware of our surroundings to be safe. And you learn that very, very early, right?
Really?
Who to interact with, who not to, where to go, where not to go, right? When to run,
Yeah.
when to stand your ground, right? And so it's interesting. Like for instance, playing kite, right, in the street, like since small, where I don't know if you guys had that here. Like we put a glass on the line, and it would fight like it's like a powder of glass with glue, and we'll put on the line.
Oh.
So then when you fly the kite, you cut each other's. You put on like the first 10 or 20 feet of the line, and the game was to cut each other's kite.
Oh, wow.
Right? And then as you did that, the kite would go flying. Then it's like 20 kids in the neighborhood running after the kite. And then we get there, and there was a big brawl to get the kite.
This is an interesting, I'm going to have to look up videos of this.
Yeah. So this like the dynamic, as you can see, is a little like different. This is natural, right, for us there. So you grow up a little bit more aware of like, how to handle yourself or how to go, because the game, even in the games, on our games, are a little bit rougher and a little bit, right?
Is that something that you would say your parents pushed you to, though? Like, obviously, your dad has a school, so I would imagine he would want you involved in the martial arts. But was it because of that aspect? Because maybe it's a rougher part of the world?
I don't think we don't know any better. So it's that's like ingrained. That's our culture there. That's how I interact, right? So Majorly, parents put judo is very, very popular in Brazil because of discipline, right? And self-defense, of course. And jiu-jitsu more so towards the self-defense. At the time that I started to train jiu-jitsu, wasn't much for kids. The kids didn't really train much. I had to train with the adults.
Oh.
Jiu-jitsu was more like was an adult thing, right? So judo was what parents would put on for discipline. Much like here is like taekwondo. Judo is very popular for that.
Why would you or what do you think the reason is that judo is more for kids to start in? How come jiu-jitsu wasn't?
Jiu-jitsu came from judo, from an old style of judo, right? So the creation of judo was with the intent of develop the individual as a citizen, as a better person, right? So it's to improve moral and physical skills, right? So it came as a complete package, right?
Yeah.
Jigoro Kano, that created judo, was a guy that was a minister of education. So it came with a lot of values with that. When it came to Brazil, as I told you, the culture in Brazil is a little different, right? And the jiu-jitsu became a little bit more like a challenge aspect, like who is the best fighter around here? Or very much that vibe there, right? The Gracies would challenge other school or other martial arts systems, and a lot of the guys that were involved on that were like those bad boys with like big ears and walking with pit bulls around and everything. So that wasn't too appealing for parents to have the kids on, right? My dad, for instance, he was an old school judoka. Because discipline is a big thing in judo, he didn't see that with good eyes.
Oh, okay.
So I had a tough time getting into jiu-jitsu because of that as well, right? And I had to be, as a kid, start to go into the gym, start to train with the adults, right? And visit place and everything. So that wasn't something that he was too keen on, neither other parents as well, because of that, that dynamic, right?
Yeah, you know what? And obviously not being from Brazil, and I don't know much about there, I always kind of pictured jiu-jitsu as almost like you see Muay Thai in Thailand, whereas they send their kids off, at like 3 or 4 years old, and you live at the academy or at the school, and Muay Thai is your life. A lot of that's done though because they need to make money for the family. So you're kind of raised there. You're making money to basically support a family, and your career is done early 20s. But jiu-jitsu is a whole different kind of aspect.
Yeah, no, we're talking more about like at different times, right? Muay Thai is a more established, is longer, has been around for longer than jiu-jitsu is. So at that time, they were trying to prove themselves on what, that jiu-jitsu was efficient, was better than other martial arts. So that, for that reason, I think that it was something that was not that friendly or not that like educational or kids oriented, right? Because of that vibe. Now, today is completely different, right? So we had all these schools, everybody understood that with that, you don't move forward. I think you're going to migrating to the United States. They had to change the approach, and they understood that they wouldn't make money, they wouldn't progress, right? Jiu-jitsu if they kept on the same vibe. So the creation, the UFC came on along with that intent, right? Show that jiu-jitsu was the most efficient art, and after that happened, that they were able to establish that, then everybody calmed down, I think, right? And including back home, and right.
So, well, it's exploded. Like it's a huge martial art worldwide now. And that was one thing I was going to ask kind of later, but since you kind of brought it up, do you see things like UFC, the mixed martial arts? Is that just a natural progression, kind of where martial arts was heading already, or is it's like they're just there to make money?
No, today, MMA, it's a new sport, right? A new discipline. Before, it would be a competition between martial arts to see who is more efficient, right?
Yeah.
So when you saw Royce Gracie fighting, was each one on your own style, and then they square off. Today is its own thing, right? All the athletes are well-rounded, right? Some of them have a little more strengths in certain parts of the game, but all of them are playing the same game there, and they don't have to be specialists on anything. So the jiu-jitsu involvement with that, like in the intent of the Gracies, Orion to create the UFC, was to show the efficiency of jiu-jitsu, right? And I think that was the extent of where jiu-jitsu was, like the intention of jiu-jitsu with MMA was the point there. Even today, they say that the Gracies shouldn't fight MMA anymore because some of the older Gracies, they say that they shouldn't fight anymore because they already proven the efficiency of that. So I see that as a completely different. Jiu-jitsu is a part of MMA, but it's far from being the main piece of that anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like Muay Thai, wrestling, judo, any other martial art will complement, right? And I see a lot of value in MMA because it brings it to reality.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of martial arts are like kata based and like not so much how you say practical, like on the practical side, hands on, right? And MMA, I think it keeps it honest.
Yeah.
Right. At the end of the day, if you're not efficient, you're gonna get your butt kicked, and that's right.
Well, having been in martial arts for a number of years myself, and then also just doing things on the job and some of the stuff we've been involved in, like you get into some real scraps here, and you can see immediately how one martial art would be much more useful, much more practical than other ones. They all have their place, I would say, when it comes to like discipline. I think they all have that aspect to it. But as for what's useful on a day-to-day basis, there's definitely a few that are kind of much above the rest. So,
every martial arts is good for its intent, right? So, and how we interact. In our grandparents' time, people wouldn't interact as close as we do today, right? That was the distance. Like a conversation distance would be a little farther than we do today, right? Places weren't as crowded. So what was the martial arts at the time? Karate, right?
Yeah.
That was the thing. So because now we interact differently, we're much closer, right? And the way that our comfort with each other is the gap diminished a lot. So then that's why jiu-jitsu became reference in self-defense, because it's for how we, right? For the occasion here, that's what is our specialty, right? I mean, get close. So there is no such a thing, I think, as one better than the other. It's just like for what it is, for what is your intention with it? What do you want to accomplish, right? And, and you're going to find the one. For us, I would say that you have to get hands-on, right? So you need to know some grappling.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you when I went through training, it was minimal grappling that you learned. Like it wasn't anything of a high level. And I get that they got to, sometimes they got to, well, they always say teach to the lowest common denominator, but you have people coming in that are just have never been involved in any kind of physical sports even. So they have zero frame of reference. So there's some people who are really good at it when they come in, and some that just don't have a clue when it comes to this stuff when you got to go hands-on with somebody. So, but we'll kind of get to that a bit later because I know you are still involved in the jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
But you were saying, so as you were growing up, the family or your father wasn't too set on you doing the BJJ stuff, and you were about 13 is when you got into it.
Yes.
So how'd that conversation go? Like, what made you want to go into that? And then how'd that conversation go with your father?
Well, was the school that I trained judo had jiu-jitsu as well. So, and the class was right after the judo class. And I liked to train ground all the time, and that was a good part of my game in judo as well. And I was always interested in learn more. The jiu-jitsu instructor was also black belt in judo, Edson Carvalho, right? And then that's how it came about. So he would allow me to participate in classes, but he didn't want me to be involved in competitions.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Or with the crowd, because the crowd would be very much like that, like bad boys, right? That would go and go around on the beach with the big ears and pit bulls full of tattoos and all that stereotype, right?
Yeah.
And I was still 13 years. I understand him, right? I was 13 years old, and he didn't want me with a crowd of older guys, right? And be influenced in that way there. So that was fair from him. So he would allow me to go there. There happened one time that was interesting. I was about 13 or 14 years old, and I was in a pool club, like on the weekend, with my friends and everything. Not pool, I don't know, with my accent sometimes. Like you go in the water,
Yeah,
right?
like a swimming club.
A swimming club, yeah.
Okay. I actually thought you were talking about like shooting pool.
No. No, it's a swimming club with my friends on the weekend. That was a jiu-jitsu competition going on. My jiu-jitsu instructor saw me there, and he needed someone missed there, and he needed someone to fight, right? And again, there was no kids category. Right? So I was like 14 years old, but I was already like a blue, in Brazil is equivalent to purple belt in judo. And he asked if I would fight. I was in front of my friends, and I didn't want to say no. Right? So I went in, and he put me in the adult category there. So, and I was like 2 weeks away from fight nationals, judo nationals. So I fought the jiu-jitsu competition. The guy there, much older than me, got me into an arm lock very quick, and he strained my arm pretty bad.
Oh.
So I got home and trying to hide that my arm was hurt because the nationals were in like 2 weeks. And he, what's wrong with your arm? I said, no, that's all good. It's about, you think you fool me? Or he started to pressure me. And then I had to tell him, right? But he was so mad, it wasn't pretty. So after that, I think that he realized that it's something that I enjoyed, and he just allowed us to go a little further, but always keeping an eye on and being there with me, right? And focus a lot on, my focus was very much on judo, right? So I wouldn't have much time anyways to be competing on both, right? But that day I made him mad. We put a lot of time in training judo. You're gonna pay for trip for you to go and fight the nationals, and you go there and just mess everything up. I heard a lot that day.
Well, the nationals in any country, for whatever it is, that's always a big competition. Right?
Yeah.
So.
I had to go in and fight the arm hurt, and couldn't complain.
You still went.
He said, I don't want to hear complaints. You will fight this thing.
How'd you do?
No, I lost it.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense, I guess.
Well, but it wasn't for the arm. It was a lack of skill at the time. Like my opponents were better than me. Well, I couldn't use the arm as an excuse that time.
What kind of kid were you? Did you get in trouble a lot, or were you actually pretty disciplined? Like, I mean, you're starting this stuff early in 3-4 years old. So.
Yeah, no, I was pretty laid back. My father was always, I think, one of the reasons why he pushed so much the competition is so to keep me focused on that and away from bad stuff, right? So that was a very smart tactics, I would say, of him. I was also quite timid, like shy.
Mhm.
So I wasn't much of a trouble. No, just my goal was to train, and I had aspirations of being Olympics and things like that. Right. So it kept me out of trouble.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a bit about your accomplishments, because so you start moving into BJJ, you're progressing, and then it was 2007 that you got invited to come train in Canada. So what kind of took place in between, like once you started jujitsu, and that led to you actually getting this invite?
Yeah. So when I was in that training center that I mentioned there, the for athletes, that place is like scouts come from universities, from other clubs to look at you and then pull you to their place, right? So you can compete for them. So I went around quite a bit from 15 years old to 20, 21. I lived all over Brazil, right? And competed for different clubs and universities doing that. And I went to the national team for the Pan Americans and other competitions as well for Brazil. And my coach at the time was Sergio Pessoa. And he moved to Canada a few years before than me. And he was at that time the coach of the Canadian team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I met him in a world championship. And I told him that I would like to learn another language. And maybe go to Canada, and because it's French and English. My father said, well, it'd be a good idea. I was in university. He said, the longer you wait, right, you get married, you're going to get stuck here, and you're not going to have that opportunity. So do it now. So I stopped my university for a little bit, and he sent me an invitation through Judo Canada.
Wow.
So I came in and I competed the Quebec Open. And I started to get some invites to go do clinics, seminars. So I would travel around and going, like I was 22 years old, right? And had not much money, didn't have much money. So they would pay me, give me a little money, and then let me sleep at the gym.
Oh, really?
So I would stay 1 week sleeping on the mats there. During the day, I would run, go around the city. And at night, I would teach the classes. I would know how to speak any English. And so that's how I learned there. So, yeah. And I went there around there like that a little bit. At the time, was close to the Peking Olympics. And Keith Morgan, who is Albertan, he was the guy that was going to represent Canada for the 4th time. And he didn't have much big guys to train. So Nicolas Gil and Sergio Pessoa also would send me tickets to go back to Montreal to spar with him, right? To help him prepare for the Olympics. Eventually, they hired me in New Brunswick to stay there and teach. And that's how I end up never going back to Brazil, right?
Yeah.
So during the week, I would teach the judo. Then they learned that I was black belt in jiu-jitsu as well. So during the weekend, there was no black belts in the province. During the week, guys that would train jiu-jitsu blue, there was one purple belt. And they would come from other towns. And on the weekend, they would train jiu-jitsu with me. So so that's how it kind of came about to come to Canada and staying here.
So do you ever think about going somewhere that's not so cold?
Well, they tricked me when they invited me to come to Alberta. They said it wasn't that cold.
Yeah, come here in the summertime.
It's interesting because me being grow up in Brazil, that all year round is summer practically, right? We do not think much of summer. We don't take advantage of that as much, right? It's just another day.
Yeah.
Here we give much more value on each phase of the year.
Yeah.
And winter is beautiful, right? It's just a little long and a little chillier than I would like, but it's beautiful. It's a good place to be.
Well, I've always said you can dress up for winter, but when it's plus 40, it's hot, and you can only dress down so much. before you get
Exactly.
arrested.
Yeah. Well, we think about like we're not by the beach all the time, right? In Brazil, so
Yeah.
why do you only need to wear suits or cops with all the vests and
Yeah.
everything, right? So
One thing I wanted to find out about was the ranking and the belt structure in jiu-jitsu, and I guess even for judo. So because you're fifth Dan judo black belt and fifth degree in jiu-jitsu. I'm guessing Dan and degree are the same.
Yeah.
When you get to a black belt, how do you what's the test to become, first, second, or third Dan? Like, what does a test look like for that?
There's different ways to approach that, right? Some people get it by merit for competition, achievement, or for teaching what you do for your sport to develop the sport. It's like more like as an instructor, as a leader, what's the work that you're doing there, or a mix of both, right? So I was always a competitor, and that's you first do a test for the black belt, and after that is that like it's merits, right? So, and when time comes, your instructor like will indicate you for the next degree, and you get award there. So that's how it went for me. Some people have to do tests all the way, and up to a certain degree, right? So
yeah. So I just think of like long ago when I was doing like karate and those things. They had like an actual overarching board that kind of set these standards, and it's like, well, you do your patterns, and then you would show, I know this move or that move. And then it's like, if you met the standard, they give you your next belt. Is there anything like that in jiu-jitsu or judo?
yeah, judo much more than jiu-jitsu. You have that set standard, and you have to know certain techniques in order to achieve, certain degrees. And there is everything set. Jiu-jitsu is so new that there is not such, like, each instructor or each school, each lineage has its own understanding of what you need to know in order to be in that level, right?
So when an instructor comes to you and says, like, you're ready, I'm going to give you a black belt or the next degree in it, they're essentially they're putting their name on the line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A black belt is a state of competence, like a motor and like maturity competence on a mat, or as a fighter, in combat, I would say. Doesn't mean that you know everything, that you know all the techniques, right? But because you have trained, you more thoroughly, competent, and you understand the concepts of the combat, you likely to learn all the skills and all the techniques much faster than somebody that have just started, right? So a black belt, I see a black belt as a more as that, right? As someone that has that concept, then understand and feel the concept, than someone that know all the techniques, because that's gonna vary, right?
Yeah.
I know people that if you ask them to teach or to show me 10 techniques, they won't be able to. They're black belts. We put them to fight, they'll kick everybody's butt, right? So you're gonna tell the guy like, that's not a black belt? I can't, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like even within the ranks, everybody's still got their strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
So
exactly. And like I said, one thing I like about jiu-jitsu is very hands-on, practical. Like it's not just like knowing the techniques, but how can you apply that in combat, right? So if you know 20, but when push comes to shove, you can't use one, then to me is more valuable the guy that can use one in a real situation there than know the 20 techniques. Like if I ask you to demonstrate in somebody that's not reacting or anything, right? So,
let's move into maybe a bit about you. You're in Canada. You've been doing all these seminars. You've been fighting in a lot of competitions. what does your career kind of look like, and how does it progress to you owning your own gym?
Yeah. So when I came, I was still very young, right? 22 years old, and competitors mentality, right? I was telling my students that was kind of a little bit of an asshole to my students, like expecting them to, perform as an athlete or be in training, because that was my environment, right? Very harsh and high expectations and everything. So it was pretty hard to train at that time or to be a student of mine at that time. And eventually I start to understand more like the values of, or my place as an instructor, right? Which is help someone have a better quality of life, right? Understand how to defend themselves, be more confident, and all those benefits that are the true goal of the martial arts, not just that little niche of competition that I was immersed in. There was someone that brought me to Edmonton. His name is Steve Bartley. He's the guy that brought me here and did the work visa and everything. And he's a Taekwondo master. And he was in love with Jiu-Jitsu, right? We always liked it. He had another Brazilian instructor here. And that guy left to Brazil, and he was looking for another one. So that's when he brought me here. And he was the one that taught me how, that mentality there. He's older than me today. I consider him my older brother here in Canada, right? So he's one of my black belts, one of my students, but in reality, I'm the one who learned from him. Like he guided me without letting me know, right?
Well, I think kind of what you're saying too, it's like a lot of people say, I can't do what the 20-year-old me used to do. But also you got to look on the flip side. The 20-year-old you can't do what, whatever age you are,
exactly,
can't do what you do now.
Yeah.
Because you lack that maturity.
Yeah. Big time. And Steve had the maturity to guide me through. Well, he needed jiu-jitsu and judo, right? And an instructor here. He needed the content. He had it, but he didn't have the maturity in me, right? To build a program or to get him. So he had that, he was wise enough to guide me through the process, teach me, right? Slowly. Sometimes you would say, Rodrigo, you shouldn't do that. And I said, man, that's how it is back home, and that's how we're doing, right? So like I just couldn't understand. And he's the one that showed me that, right? And at some point he said, you're not training like Olympic athletes or high level. You training family, people that will work every next day and they want to be all broken up, people that can't even shake somebody's hand looking at the other person's eye. That's where you're going to make a difference, right? In somebody's life. And then slowly, surely he got me to understand that.
So how'd you open this school and talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I taught a few years and for him in his school, and he would rent me to other schools as well, like a MMA school and another Taekwondo school that to develop a Jiu-Jitsu program. Eventually, I got my residence, the permanent residence, and then he helped me open. He taught me how to do the business, open my own schools, right? So he is in the south side, and I decided to live in Spruce Grove. So I opened my school in Spruce Grove, and that was the process of like trying and error, a lot of trying and error, him guiding, okay, this is how you're gonna do it. Like it's a different process. Like I was a white belt again, right, on the business side. And I had to relearn everything, how it goes, and he is, in fact, the one that guided me through the process there. So, yeah, it happened. I consider myself someone very lucky, right? I had the right person. I always had the right person. I was the right place. I had the right opportunity at the right time. So things happened for me. So like from me coming to Edmonton all the way to open my school, there's more credit to Steve to help me do that or teach me how to do the process than actually me, right?
Well, and when you're training there, Like, how big did the school get? How many students did you end up having?
Well, we end up having, of my own, I end up having like 3 schools.
Hmm.
Steve have one, Southside. Now we have like almost 25 black belts. I have black belts that own schools around town, right here
Wow.
on the places. And so we have quite a bit. When I came here, there was only 2 black belts that were recently promoted to black belts in the province. So
In the whole province?
in the whole province,
Wow.
yeah. So jiu-jitsu was very, very new, right? Like not much of an understanding, not much around here. Today, we have like, I would say, over 200 black belts around the province.
Hmm.
So that's beautiful to see, right?
Yeah.
And the level of jiu-jitsu is quite high.
Mhm.
That doesn't lose anywhere. The guys go to Brazil, the guys go to America, anywhere they can compete equally with anybody there. So, yeah, that I kind of lost myself.
No, we were just talking about
Orientation.
opening your own school, and then just how many students you end up having.
Yeah.
Kind of look
So
like.
yeah, in Spruce Grove, we have over 300 students.
Wow.
Then I have in Fort Saskatchewan. It's a smaller school there, but it's still over 100 students there. And I had one in San Albert Trail that I opened 4 months before COVID shut down. So we ended up losing that school, but that's why I'm here with the APS, right? Steve has a very successful program as on the south side. It's a lot of people there.
What's his school called?
Elite.
Okay, Elite.
Yeah. Well, I'll call Elite now. Where I opened the schools initially with my name. After coming to the force, I switched out to Elite, right? And so Rob Thompson in Leduc. So we have people around there, right? And jiu-jitsu is very, very popular in town.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Not just me, right? There's very other competent instructors that have done a great job here in the province and promoted jiu-jitsu around.
And how involved are you still in the whole program or any of it?
Yeah, I'm involved on the creation of the program, maintenance, right, overseeing everything, but much less on the teaching part.
Yeah.
Right, because conciliating the job with, yeah. But luckily, by the time I got into EPS, my schools were already very established. We have quite a few black belts that do a great job there and take the load and do an excellent job, maybe even better than me. And, my wife do the business part.
Okay.
So I'm left with the fun part. I go there to the mats. I have fun with them, teach when I'm there. But they do most of the heavy lifting now.
So during COVID, you ended up jumping from teaching full time and running these schools to the police service. So what was kind of involved with that thought process, and how was that transition for you?
Well, when I always wanted to be involved with police. I think if I didn't immigrate to Canada, I would end up being in the police force there. So when they shut down the schools, I thought that this would be my last opportunity to get in. I'm starting to get old. I don't know how long they won't say if I wait too long, they don't want to old dude all broken up.
Yeah.
So I saw that as a great opportunity to go in and right, and plus the stability, right? At that time, whoever owned business, everybody that owns business would know what was going to happen. We didn't have any stability. It was very scary, financially wise, right, at that time. So that's how I end up getting into that. So everything worked out. Like I said, things worked for me for some reason. I'm a lucky guy that way. When I went through the recruit training, the school was shut down, so I didn't have to conciliate being at the jiu-jitsu school and manage that with training academy. After the schools reopened, then it started to get a little busy, right, to get into the balance between both. But I think 2 days we got it figured out. Things are more right, are more balanced there, and people.
Well, and even I guess if the school's shut down, it's not. I want to say it's not so risky trying to go through another process for another job at the time. I mean, everything's shut down, so you had some time on your hands to do this application process. Did you find it hard going through the process, or was it pretty quick for you?
Well, it was quick once I applied, but what was hard is like I have never. The language was it's the struggle, right? Because I had never studied English like formally before. So the next day that they shut down the schools, I bought that police prep program, the online program,
Yeah.
and I locked myself in my office for like a month and a half, and I started to study for the ACT and the E-Prep. So my formal English education study that I have to prepare was just this month and a half there. So that was tough, and going throughout the training as well, learning law and everything with English, like I would have to, like, it's double of the work for me than for my fellows there, right, to go through all that. So that part was challenging, but my whole process, once I apply all the way to get hired, I think was like 2 months, 2 or 3 months. So
that's real
pretty
fast.
quick, yeah, went pretty quick. Was nice. And because I wasn't working, right? The schools were shut down, and I had time to go to all the appointments and do things like a little faster, right?
I think when you're talking about learning the language through police studies or this book, I'm surprised you don't come up with just swearing a lot more.
I have to watch myself because.
So now you get into policing, and as you're going through training, one of the things I really wanted to get your perspective on was the tactics. So, and not so much like tactics with firearms or driving something, but like the defensive tactics. So when it comes to all the punching and kicking and controlling people and holds, and obviously you have quite a background, and we've already talked about, you got to cater to people from all walks of life. What do you think? Because I already know the police could do better in that world, but what do you think they could do better on, especially if they got to appeal to so many people? Is there like I don't imagine they could have the time to just implement a full jiu-jitsu program in there, but what could they do better on?
Yeah. Well, that's only my opinion of someone that has been 2 years on the street and like not much police experience. From what I have noticed, right, this area, not just here, but all around the world, is something that it's still in progress, a work in progress, right? They try, depending on who is ahead of the program, will tend to be influenced by the background of martial arts that they have, and thinking that style is the one that's the best to fit use of force and everything. And I don't think that way. I think that especially been teaching for so long, it's impractical thinking that someone that gonna go through 6 months of recruit training with no previous experience can be proficient at a martial arts to the point where they can get in safely, right, every time.
Yeah.
Getting in a scrap with somebody. I see control tactics as its own martial arts, right? And the martial arts can help officers in the sense of like self-awareness, because if you know your limits, you know when to touch someone or not touch. We're very resourceful, right? We also have a belt. We have our own black belt, right? With all the tools that we have. So I think control tactics is more about decision making. So give them opportunity to understand their limits, the limitations, what there is, right? What is to be attacked, what is some positions, some joint manipulations to get into cuff and things like that, but mostly show what they're going to face in the street. Show some
Yes.
what is somebody coming in with a knife with you, right? And how can I put the hand on somebody with the knowledge that I have? For some people, yeah. For some people, no, right?
Mhm.
So I would say that that's more like a decision-making thing than actual one martial arts that go in on, right?
Yeah.
If I have a partner that's a boxer and we're arresting someone and I need him to help me and we're in an ugly situation, I don't want him to jiu-jitsu with the guy on grip. I want him to box because that's what he knows how to do, right?
Yeah.
So that those considerations is what we need to try to implement into the training in a certain way that we can accomplish that.
hmm Well, and maybe on that, I know jujitsu is kind of developed as you don't have to be the biggest person in order for it to be effective, even against a bigger opponent.
Yeah.
But do you find that does that translate to police work? So if I'm a guy who's 160 pounds and then I got to go arrest somebody who's 220,
Mm-hmm.
I maybe we'll take skill level out of it, but would they be able to be effective against a person like that?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so because it's based on leverage, right? And,
Mhm.
and like I said, each martial arts, there is no best. What's the best martial arts? What we're going to accomplish the job.
Yeah.
What jiu-jitsu is, what's the specialty of jiu-jitsu, right? Joint manipulation,
Mhm.
right? Takedowns or pins or holds. And that's in reality what we have to do on the street. Do that in the safest way possible, right? It's the safest way for you and for the subject, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's necessary. A lot of the aspects of jiu-jitsu, a lot of the techniques, they are effective, right? It's just a matter of picking which one can be more learnable for
Mhm.
someone that's going through a 6 months training there, right? And how to approach that, and understanding the limitations of, well, against who can I do that? If things start to get ugly, how do I retract? How do I
Yeah.
disengage, right? To access all the tools and things like that. So definitely jiu-jitsu has a lot to offer, but it's not like it doesn't resolve. There is no one art that resolves the problem.
Mhm.
Like I said, it's its own martial arts.
Yeah.
Right? It's a collaborative effort, and to get to a good point there.
I think, like you were just saying too, the biggest thing I always took away from martial arts was more knowing about myself. It's not about knowing how to attack necessarily or how to do something to this other person, but it's more about knowing your limits. So
Yep.
knowing, like, a good example is when we walk through venues and there could be 1,000 people in there and you're, rubbing shoulders with all these people. How comfortable am I doing whatever needs to be done within inches of another person, right? And you don't know if they have a weapon, you don't know their skill levels on whatever they might know, but it's how comfortable do you feel with what's going on in front of you right now? So I think that was one of the biggest things I always took from it, and also knowing your limits so you don't get injured.
Yep.
That was probably one of the most important things I always found. Do you think that's something that you might go into in the future? Is that where you see maybe you're kind of geared towards going into like tactics instructor here, or do you got other aspirations?
Well, that is definitely one of my passions, right? I have been doing that for a long time. I had a good exposure now to tactics training with core on the last few months because I got injured and I was seconded there for the last 3 months. So
Oh, that's good.
yeah, so there's a very good opportunity for me to learn with them, right? And what are their challenges, what they're facing there, how, what they have to work with, and their approach to like use of force, understand better use of force, right? And things like that. So it's definitely something I'm interested to. But police is so broad. There's so many different areas that every time I talk to someone from different unit, I go, well, that's cool. I would like to do that one day, right? So,
Well, you got 25 years, 1 year in every unit. You can hit all of them.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can do a lot. Like one thing is you can't get bored. Yeah, right. There is a bit for everybody, and there's a lot of cool stuff that I would love to learn. I would love to be involved or participate, right? And that and I'm sure stuff that I don't even know yet. Every day I meet with somebody different, and then I see them do stuff. It's nice. I would like to do that too. So
Yeah.
I will see where it's gonna take me, right? And when.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? There's a lot of things you never see until you could be 10 years into your career and you didn't even know something was a job in this service. So
yeah, I'm still like grasping the basics here, trying to understand how the basics done and to eventually be a good candidate or be someone that can learn, for a specific unit or a specific position, right? So goal now is to learn as much as I can from everywhere, everyone, and from when the opportunity comes, I'm somewhat ready.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to get your opinion on too was there's always a lot of talk about chokehold versus restraint, like neck restraints. Do you keep up at all? Like, do you see a lot of the media on this stuff?
Yeah.
So what's kind of your take on that? Are people saying the wrong terms and then therefore going off on tangents in the wrong way? Are we not using the proper terminology? What's going on with this whole debate?
Yeah. In my opinion, it's a matter of public perception. That has nothing to do with the technique being more dangerous or less dangerous, right? And now, the threshold to use neck restraint or chokehold, whatever you want to call, it's very high because of lack of knowledge from who is, evaluating the use of force and from who is using use of force as well. It's important to use that proper, right? In Jiu-Jitsu, I teach kids 7 years old how to do chokeholds. So I don't understand why cops can't be taught and trained and proficient to use that in a safe way, right? And cause less damage to the subject, right? And be safer doing that. Many situations I have seen where a chokehold could easily resolve the situation and a higher level of use of force had to be used because it didn't meet the threshold for the chokehold yet. So, but this is I think it's a slow process, right? And eventually, I don't know what has to be done, or I'm still too new here to understand what the process, what has to be done to make people understand that. But that's my take on that. I think if it's done properly, and it's a great tool in a very low threshold to control situation to get it.
Well, especially when you're talking about somebody who might not just be able to use pure strength, and if I'm not a black belt in something, I don't have that skill level yet, but if I can learn a few basic things, I find one of, something like using the neck restraint or chokehold or whatever it might be, if it's taught properly and applied properly, that could save the lives of someone who's much smaller, much lighter, not generally as strong as maybe the subject they're dealing with. So I think that's where it really comes into play.
Definitely. If my 9-year-old daughter latches on into a rear naked choke on me and she doesn't let go on I top, she's going to put me out.
Yeah.
Right? Because she's on my back, she's behind my neck. How am I going to take them? It's properly placed on, right? And it's not just for the safety of the officer, of course, it is there, but for the safety of the subject as well. You get like a mental health person that you could potentially put them unconscious for a few seconds there, where they limp, you can put them in cuffs and things like that. It's much easier, much safer for them. Right? The neck restraint, like within 5 seconds, well applied on the jugular,
Yeah.
In 5 seconds, a person can be out.
Yeah.
Right. And not much damage, not much to that. They'll be out for a few seconds, enough time for you to put cuffs on. But, we play by the rules. That's how it goes. Right.
Yeah.
And right now, that's the rules are that we only use that for GBH death, and that it is, right? So
Yeah. Your kids, I imagine they're take jujitsu?
no choice.
No choice.
It's like go to school, you don't ask them.
That's good. What level are they? What belt?
My daughter is gray and black in jiu-jitsu and yellow and white in judo, and my boy is a gray belt in jiu-jitsu. I take it they have to do it. There's no choice, but I let it go very, very easy. I don't teach them myself.
Yeah.
Right. And because I wanted that to last. So,
yeah.
And they already see that a lot. They have me at home, so I don't want them to get sick and tired of it.
Yeah.
It has to be very ludic, very fun for them, right? So they go in, they do it 2 times a week. They do the other sports as well, right? And learn while playing.
Yeah.
That's the goal there.
Do you think one of them is probably like they'll continue with it and maybe see it through to like bigger aspirations and all?
Yeah. Maybe, yeah, they still change a lot. So my daughter is very girly, and she's artistics, aspirations, and I don't know if she will. I want her to do long enough that she knows how to defend herself. Right. My boy, he's I can see him like being more competitive. He is a competitive soul, so wanting to take it further forward, right? And he likes to scrap. He likes to, he's a typical like a 7-year-old boy, full of energy. I play with my friends, and it's a little shit. He's a little shit now. That's right.
I saw you wrote that in when you sent me the list for the bio. I was laughing at that.
He is a handful. Yeah.
And we're kind of getting to the end here. I won't keep you forever. But when you were jumping over to the police, did your wife or even kids, like, did they have any kind of opinion on policing here in Canada?
Yeah. Well, my wife, she was afraid, right, of police in general. Like here in Brazil, of course, here she is a little less concerned, but that was a concern on her part of me start to have to deal with situations that I can control and do what we're supposed to do when we sign up for the job. My kids do not have an understanding at all. They're proud to have their dad being a cop. They love police and so they like it. The only thing that they don't like much is they schedule, and my son said, "I like that you police that, but you can quit now because I prefer you to be more with me here." So he used to me having more time, right? More boss of my own time, and with day schools, and that we suffer a little bit. They suffer a little bit more with that now, but I think it's just a normal and general preoccupation that every family has with their We sign up to do whatever has to be done, and the job is what it is, and they are aware of that, right?
Yeah. Is there anything you think we missed that we didn't cover? I think we kind of got through all the topics we had sent.
No, I think I think we have talked to a lot of this stuff there.
Where
I can't think of anything.
Is there anywhere that people might be able to follow you, or do you keep like any social media or no?
Yeah, I have the schools have the social media. I'm not too involved. I'm not the one who really mess with it. We have the person that do the media and the stuff there. I have my personal page there as well, Rod Campos, and and I guess like all our blue brothers and sisters know where to reach me on my phone number there, and on the service and anywhere you find me. If you're interested in train, right, and get more involved, I'm always one for that. Like we have now more openings and opportunities to train within the service, right? A good momentum going on. A lot of people interested. We're meeting a lot in Northwest that you train. There's other black belts in the service as well, right? Tony Chin, which is a great competitor, great dude as well, and Curtis Carson, also, right? Great instructor, also black belt, and all the very skilled practitioners there. So I would, the more, I will be a happier Brazilian here if I see more of the guys and girls involved on that, right? And wanting to learn more. And
Well, Tony's actually coming on the podcast next week as well.
he is awesome.
So we'll get into jiu-jitsu with him because he's also got a few recent accomplishments too. So,
yes.
And yeah, I'll post the links. I'll get you the links from you. So we'll post those for the school, and then people can kind of follow along or join up if they're interested in that.
Sounds good.
But man, I want to say thanks for coming in today. Appreciate the time.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Anytime.